Hola a todos y bienvenido to episode 11 of Voces En Vivo, the official webinar series of Circulo Castellano. I'm your host Akriti, and tonight we have a truly global conversation up for you. Our theme today is Parallel Paths, Shared Tradition and Future of India-Mexico Exchange. To dive into this, I'm thrilled to welcome a guest who wears an incredible number of hats. Born in Monterrey, Mexico, Luis Efrén is a mechanical electrical engineer who has worked in everything from industrial fire systems to warehouse automation. He's the founder of the social group Geostats, started a robotic teams 10 years ago, and recently his professional journey in international logistics brought him the task of opening his company's Indian branch. When he's not navigating global supply chains, you might find him swimming, playing tennis, or learning the harmonica. Y bienvenido, Luis. Thank you so much for being here.
बहुत धन्यवाद, Akriti. I'm really excited to be here and to share a lot of conversation between what India and Mexico can deliver to each other. I'm really excited. This is a conversation that doesn't happen so often.
Yeah, that is actually very true, and we are hoping that this conversation is insightful as well as meaningful, and we gain a lot of knowledge from each other, and we have a lot of fun as well. So I would like to dive straight into the conversation and start asking you a lot of questions. Starting with the a little about you. Talking about your journey, you have a very fascinating and diverse background. I have to say this. So, like as an engineer, you have also taught high school students, and you have recently picked up a learning harmonica. You play golf, and you are also dealing with logistics in your professional career. So, if you had to choose, one of your hobbies that best prepared you for the absolute chaos of the global supply chain, which one is it and why? Uh, Hello, am I audible, Efren? Saurabh?
Sorry, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
You were
I
saying?
hope, I hope my question was audible to you. Was it not?
No. Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, sure.
Just the last
So
part. Just the last part.
Oh, just the last part. So I was talking that if you had to choose, one of your hobbies that best prepared you for the absolute chaos in the professional field of global supply chain, so which one would it be and like why?
I think the one that prepared me the most was opening teams, specifically the robotics team. Big shout out to Tigres 6652. That was one of the first things that I did that proved me that I could lead teams through hardship and through losing and also winning. So I would say that one.
That's amazing. Was it also something the team that you started? Was it like a community that you started, or was it a part of your college journey?
No. It was a community that we created. Actually, we were the first team that was led by only students.
Yeah.
We were able to actually achieve some sponsorship from companies. So we also were the first ones to actually deliver some private money to the university so that we can start doing our build the robots and go to the tournaments. So it was led by students, and so far it's still led by students. But of course, now we have a lot of support from the university, Universidad Autónoma de Nuevo León, and we're very grateful for that. And yeah, I mean that's how it was,
Honestly, that's a brilliant achievement, to be truly honest, because I being a student as well, and having seen all the hard work that goes behind creating a community from ground and gaining so much achievements, and pitching to the college, to the people out there, it is hard. So
No, yes.
having
And it
yeah.
has, sorry to interrupt you, it has
No.
the last 10 years it has always been attending the world championship, which is something quite amazing, honestly, and it speaks a lot about the effort and the sustainability of the team. Of course, this team right now is being led by students that believe in the dream that we first thought about. And I think that's something beautiful, It will bring a lot of, I always say that the biggest impact of the team is not the championship, is not the trophies, is the impact that brings to the students, that it shows them that they can actually achieve stuff with hard work and with innovation and thinking about sustainability. And I think that's pretty wonderful and magical.
Yeah, actually agree to that point, because going to that milestone, I believe that is something that the students must have worked really hard for this, and people are really working hard. I think as you just mentioned, these initiatives and communities and your hard work, they never go to waste. They always come back one way or another, and you learn really important life lessons along the way.
Yes, I agree.
So, yeah, definitely. So I believe that that can definitely help in the professional career also going forward. So if there's student, if there's any student listening to this, I believe that if they would like, want to gain some kind of experience and practice for the professional career up ahead, then they can definitely take part in these kind of societies and initiatives, and have a brilliant learning experience as well.
And they can send me a
So,
message. We're always open.
yeah.
We're always open to help build teams in other countries. We
Yeah,
have
yeah,
helped.
exactly.
We have helped open teams in remote
Yeah.
places like Tonga. Which is in very, very far away. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of possibilities for the Indian students to also get into this tournament. And learn stuff. So if there's any high school or university students out there that are 18 years or less, and they want to know how they can go into this robotics tournament, they can send me a message. We can help them, and we can guide them through the storm.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. Honestly, I believe that this will be very much helpful. And this brings me back to my next question, that looking at the brilliant ways of a lot of different initiatives that you have taken and that are being taken, and just like, seeing it from a bigger perspective, like global connections, we often forget like how far back India and Mexico go, like from centuries ago, the Manila galleon trade route that connected our regions, and Mexico gave India the chili pepper, and India brought textiles and spices back to Mexico. So looking at the modern day, my question to you is like, what is something that Mexico brings to India and India to Mexico that people have completely overlooked in today's time? That's
This is
something that
going.
we don't account for.
Yeah, this is going to create a lot of surprise, because this is something that I have talked to a lot of Indian colleagues and also Mexican colleagues, and they are really surprised when I tell them that the flower genda, your genda,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. Marigold.
that's from Mexico.
Really?
Yeah. It's called in Mexico.
Okay.
It's called cempasúchil.
Oh, okay.
And the first time that I went to Chadnichok, I was surprised that I saw mountains of genda, in the
Yeah,
streets, and I
yeah.
was like, "That's cempasúchil," And I was showing people like, "That's cempasúchil," and they were like, "No, that's genda," and I'm like, "No, it's cempasúchil," And then I found out. I started, researching, and it turns out that cempasúchil genda is from Mexico. It's endemic from here. So
Yeah,
I suppose that on that same route, Spaniards took it to India also,
yeah.
and Indians loved it because we also love it. And yeah, I mean, that's something that people don't actually know.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that was something that honestly I believe majority of people don't know. It's
Yeah,
only a very few people who might have that knowledge. Thank you so much for sharing that. I was
yeah,
not counting on that. I was
yeah, I
like,
know,
yeah,
I
I mean,
know.
awesome.
Yeah, and of course, it's very natural for Genda to also be available in India, because India and Mexico, we're also in the same latitude.
Yeah.
So Monterrey, my city, is basically the same latitude as Delhi.
Okay.
So we have a lot of things in common in that sense also.
Yeah.
And of course, weather-wise is also very similar. So that's why you can also grow Genda locally.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have
True.
to
I
move
mean,
it from Mexico to,
yeah. Yeah, honestly, yeah, that is actually a very true point. I mean, if looking at that scientific history, then yeah, that is actually very true. I mean, because this flower, again, the marigold that we say, is a very big
right.
part of Indian culture, a
Mhm.
very big part, and it goes from way beyond, and like, the history of it and everything. So I believe that is something that is a very special thing, to be truly honest, to be shared between both of these countries. It also connect the culture in some way, so I believe that is
Yes,
something that's really nice.
yes, because we also use it for ceremonies a
Yeah.
lot. Not as much as Indian religious ceremonies,
Yeah.
but we also use it a lot in Mexico, specifically for celebration of the dead. That's where we use it the most.
Yeah. I
Um,
think, yeah, I think we use it for both. I would say death as well as for both also, because yeah, especially I would say in Hindu tradition, particularly, I believe
yeah,
that we use it for both. Yeah. Moving on to my next question. This has been such an awesome discovery, to be truly honest. So, yeah, talking about, socially, as you just mentioned, that we have the same latitude, so we seem to share a lot of the same DNA, to be truly honest. And you have immersed yourself in both the cultures now. So, like, when you look at the Mexican traditions, the reliance on family, the vibrant festivals, the food, and then compare it to the Indian traditions, where do you see the biggest cultural overlap? Like, the biggest thing that there is something that is common in both the countries, and like, or like on the flip side, where are we completely different? I would love to know both of these, if you have an opinion on that. Yeah.
yeah. I think that the biggest overlap, or one of the biggest overlaps, is definitely the food culture. So we both love our food. We're both foodie groups, and
Yeah.
and food is one of them. Family is also one of them for sure. Um, I think that would be two of the most biggest overlaps. And then I would say that differences, we're not so much different. I think we are a little bit more relaxed, and we are less straightforward than Indians. So Indians will be very straightforward, and
Yeah.
and Mexicans were not like that. We're more like, we have a saying or a word that means ahorita, and that's very Mexican. And basically, it comes from the word ahora, which means now. And when someone asks you, like, hey, when are you going to go here, or when are you going to do this, and people answer back like, ahorita, means,
Yeah.
I mean, literally it means now, but for Mexicans it means, I don't know, maybe, in 10 years, maybe in 2 days, maybe in 1 hour. We don't say that. So I think we have those two main differences. I also think that um, seniority in India is very, very, very impressive for me. Like, this classification in the society, and also in the job site, people really respect, people that are above them. Like, in that sense, it's also very interesting for me. Um, Usually the boss will never eat with the lowest link, and vice versa. That's like kind of crazy for Indians. And Mexican is very common. Like, the boss will go and eat with the lowest link, and the middle ground will eat upwards and then downwards, and they will all have a relationship between all of them, like a family. And in India, I think that's also something that doesn't happen so much. So there's a lot of differences and a lot of barriers between up and down. So I think that's also some like cultural difference that I have seen.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
coming back to
Yeah.
Aurita for a while, again in India also we have something abhi kar dunga. So
Mm.
abhi means now, but
Yeah.
that never happens. It is the same thing like Aurika. Just like
That's really cool.
yeah, just like we were starting Abhi, but
Yeah.
we started a bit delay. We started
Yeah.
with a delay because of the technical issues, but
Yeah.
that's something another which is similar. So that's not different for us. It's just the same, and that's actually
Okay.
the irony. That's, I would say,
That's I
the
don't know.
irony. For example, in Mexico, it is ahorita is just the opposite of the meaning, and similarly, luego, I would say,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah. Just the
Yeah,
opposite. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry
Yeah,
to interrupt.
honestly,
You continue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's okay.
no, honestly, both of the perspectives are really amazing. And yeah, I agree to both of them. I mean, we have a lot of things. I would believe that, if two countries share so much of the culture and traditions, and then obviously the habits, I would say, would also be somewhat similar. So we always say that we are going to do this now, but the now never comes. So that's
Mhm.
that. But yeah, the one thing that you did mention, and I completely agree with that. When it comes to differences in India, hierarchy is something that is taken very seriously. But I do believe that in Mexico and in a lot of other Hispanic countries also, hierarchy is not something that is taken that much into consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, so I think that is something that's different, but yeah, to each their own. So hopefully, it does not, as long as it does not cause any harm or
Oh, yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, in the end, we're different, right? I mean, one
Hmm.
thing. I mean, both situations have good things and bad things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
So there's a lot of issues in Mexico because of this
Hmm.
not being able to have this hierarchy. I mean, like people
Yeah.
will have issues in their job site because of that.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's good things and bad things for both.
Yeah, yeah, it's very true, very true. And yeah, talking about your next thing that you did, you also founded Geostats, which looks at geographical statistics and focused on social outcomes. So, as an engineer who loves hard data, and when you look at the demographic data of countries like India or Mexico, so talking about the specific statistic or trend, like what does those trend tells you the most about the actual people living there? Like, is there some sort of relation happening? Like, do you actually get some sort of information out of that, or it's just data?
No, yeah, we try to actually prove some points. We work very closely with many ONGs, NGOs, sorry, in English, NGOs. So that basically what we do is that we say, okay, NGO, what do you need? I need to prove this and this and this and this. Okay, then we help them prove whatever they want to prove with maps. Basically, we create maps and graphs and stuff. So yeah, I mean, we never do it out of nowhere, out of the blue. So for example, one of our first maps was about water scarcity. And because there was water scarcity in Nuevo León, in Monterrey, in the north of Mexico, so we had to do it. And then we also, for example, did some maps for an NGO called Futuro con Derechos. And basically what they do is that they try to, well, not try to, they help what they called, in English it would be like site victims of feminicides. So of course, when we talk about feminicides, no one talks about the victims that are like the side victims, like the siblings, or like the people that depended economically on that woman. So this NGO tries to assist them. So we did a map for them also, and like that, I mean, like we create maps for NGOs that need help to showcase some data, showcase some point, prove some points, and they want to do it graphically.
Yeah, I mean that is something really amazing initiative, to be truly honest, because this is something that all of the NGOs and a lot of societies need in today's time. Because
Yes.
even in my experience, when I was doing some research in that sector, we needed a lot of data in that field, some sort of survey kind of field, but
Yeah.
we couldn't because because it's like very hard to do those surveys. It's not easy.
The
So I
the
think,
point
yeah.
the point is that our governments, Indian and Mexican one, they don't pour that much money on these kind of like situations or
Yeah.
needs,
Mhm.
because then people could prove points of their inaccuracies or bad government or stuff like this. So that's why they don't do
Mhm.
it. I mean, like, why would they give the people the tools to show that they are doing wrong, that they're doing wrong,
Mhm.
so this is
Mhm.
why usually Indian and Mexican governments, they don't like to give a lot of data to people, because people would start scratching,
Mhm.
and proving points, and they don't want them to they don't want the people
Yeah.
to actually know like what's going on.
Yeah, true. I mean, obviously, nobody would want, to give anybody a chance to then come with that
Exactly.
data and then attack them. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
To come, yeah. So, yeah, I think in that, then we need to be creative, and you were successful in that because then you did find some sort of way to help the NGOs actually get
Yes.
the survey. So we have now some sort of data, even if it's not, something that the higher authorities would want to be there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, automation and AI is something that is very much powerful, and nobody could stop it. And I would love to talk about a little bit more about your robotics team and your journey in that, because in today's time, as I just mentioned, that how AI and automation is very superior and very important, and you being of an engineering background with her specialization in robotics, and you also did the geostats data. So with all of those few things, you have been on forefront of the automation changes that have happened a lot in these previous few years. And there's a fear that you might have seen, that people fear that automation will erase jobs. So do you think that, like, balancing and bringing cutting edge robotics into heavy industries like steel and cement, and into global supply chains, into careers like this, will it, like, erase jobs, or like will it still protect our social fabric and societies?
That's a polemic point. I think that definitely what needs to happen is that every industrial revolution we lose jobs. That's a fact. I mean, we used to have people who worked in carriages, and now we have cars. So of course all of those jobs were lost. uh, but then they were transformed into something else. I do think that we are moving into a very productive economy, in the sense of production in the end is doing stuff with less man hours. That's production in a very like simple term. And I think that eventually we are going to need to start talking about UBI, universal basic income, and so that we can actually start, we can actually give some money, because in the end, I mean, what what's the point of doing a lot of stuff with automation if there's no one that can buy it, because no one has money,
Yeah.
because no one has jobs. So um, sadly, our economical model is a little bit flawed, because it requires, like in China, for example, it requires that there's always exports, there's always something being built, and someone always buying it. So in that sense, there's not like a point of stopping. I mean, like, everything is designed around the idea that it will never stop. There will never be a stop in production. So of course, I mean, that's wrong, you know. So either we find another planet, literally another planet that we can go to and export stuff, or we have to start thinking like how our economic model needs to change so that we can actually survive, you know, this point where we will be like, we don't know where to send whatever we are creating, you know. Who is buying it? No one is buying it because no one has money to buy it, you know. So that's, I think we're getting very close to that point. And it's going to be challenging times on that sense. But I think that in the end, I mean, from automation, new jobs are created also. And there has to be a balance, you know, there has to be some type of government intervention. You know, I don't think that the idea of the economic model of laissez-faire, it's, you know, correct for this kind of situation. I think there has to be some type of government regulation on a worldwide scale, so that we can actually regulate these kind of tools and say like, okay, guys, yes, good, let's do it, but not at the expense of, you know, the human society, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That is actually a very significant point that you know just made here, because obviously AI and automation is coming, but yeah, it's very similar to how it happened like a few years ago when the more of the technology came, the World Wide Web when came, when internet came. People were worried that things would change, but it did not. So obviously, the thing that you mentioned about the financial and economic standpoint of any country is actually very important. And if we want to actually make some change that is productive and positive in the end, so definitely the financial models need to change, because then
Yes.
with the coming of AI and automation, yes, exactly. So with the coming of AI and automation, it will actually help the government and the country to develop, rather than in the people losing their jobs and destroying their livelihoods. It will actually help them gain empowerment and actually help them into their better livelihoods and better lives. So I
Yes.
think, yeah, exactly. So this point that you made is a very significant and very fantastic point, to be truly honest, because if looking at from this angle, then we will have both of the best of both of the worlds. We will have the AI and automation that is actually very needed in this time, and we will have people who have better livelihoods also. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So there's some sort of balance needed to be found in the ecosystem right now, but I'm sure that it will happen with time, and we have to wait and see how it plays out and how things happen. Yeah,
Yep.
and yeah, exactly. And now, zooming out from the robotics and the automation industry and talking about more the global look and how it is in the global scale. You have had experience with that also. The geopolitics in Asia is also shifting, like, rapidly with time. So, like, from your vantage point and being an ambassador, and being such a critical point of global supply chain in your organization, like, what is the biggest blind spot companies have right now when they look at the Asian manufacturing landscape, and when we talk about it?
Okay, so the blind spots, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that that cultural aspect is something that people don't usually see. Like they're always, you know, taking decisions based on economic data, um, and sometimes they don't always consider the human factor. You know, who are the humans that are there? How are they? What do they do? Um, is religion very important to them? How can I talk to them? You know, this is something that only a local perspective can give you. You know, so that's for one point. And then the second point is that um, all of these markets, or countries, they are far away from the end market. You know, um, and that's something that with this recent situation in the Strait of Hormuz and many other like conflicts that altered the global chain, we have realized this, and it has showcased this. It also happened in the pandemic. Um, Ports were blocked. People were not getting their goods, and actually we are still suffering from the shockwave of this situation. I would say that many supply chains have not recovered from the pandemic, and it has ended like 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, those are the blind spots for me.
Yeah. Completely. I believe that the corona hit that happened, I think it actually hit very hard across all over the world, and the economy and the financial situations. The norm, which was before corona, is still not the norm now. So I believe that a
Yeah,
lot of companies, and organization, and this is still happening, and the geopolitics is actually still being hit with that. So there's a lot of things that we need to recover. We are recovering, and we still need to cover a lot. So
yeah,
that is actually very true and key point when talking about a blind spot that you made very amazingly. So this is something that really we need to really figure out, like which way do we want to go, like do we want to go to the like how do we figure it out, and how do we cover all the aspects that is happening. And
yes,
exactly. So and talking about your journey in your organization, I wanted to have a very fun scenario with you, and understand what kind of mindset goes beyond that work. So if we are talking about a scenario, and like if imagining that you are with a CEO of massive Indian manufacturing conglomerate, and they have relied on China for decades, but now they want to shift to another country because the board is getting nervous because of geopolitics and so on. So they have brought you as a consultant. So if you have only 2 minutes to pitch them, and like why should they move their operations right now to Mexico instead of looking anywhere else in Asia, what will it be? I'm really interested in that what will be
yeah,
the reasoning behind it, and the 2 minute pitch that could be given.
yeah. Before doing the pitch, actually, we're actually that's happening right now. So we actually do have
Yeah.
a client that we're doing that. So I can actually give you a real case scenario where we actually did that pitch.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
basically, I would say that the reason why Mexico is very valuable for moving the operations, and in the end, it's not a cheap option, to move all of the operations to another country. But I think that in the end, we're the closest country to your biggest end market, which is the US. We have zero tariffs agreements with them. We have very high skilled job workers, and the rotation is very low. People value here stability. They have a lot of experience. We have been doing manufacturing for many years, and we value also a lot of education. So we are very educated persons doing many diverse jobs. Mexico's economy is not different than Indian economy. We are very similar in the sense of the cost of living is very similar as well. We still have a lot of opportunities in land. There's a lot of land that hasn't been, taken advantage of. There's a lot of space, and there's a lot of people looking for a job, so that's also important. And I think that the reduction or the reduction of risk of your supply chain to actually sell whatever you're creating is heavily reduced moving your operations into Mexico rather than China or another Southeast Asian country, So yeah, those are my points.
But as you just mentioned that how you did this, you're currently doing this, and the hit that is happening with organization because of corona and everything. So I have had a very question that I believe that a lot of business people would have, if they might be seeing this video, that if any Indian business would like to in future go to Mexico or vice versa, you have that first hand experience. So like what is this biggest operational or cultural hurdle that they might face, that one on day one, that they have to like navigate and then reach the point of uh, further business, because I believe that this is something that you might have a lot of experience in.
Yes, yes. Actually, I mean, whoever is watching this right now or in the future, I mean, we are actually offering this product, in Resin Cargo, the company where I work at. We are the only Mexican freight forwarder in India right now, which is very important because that also puts us in a very, very small amount of freight forwarders from Latin America that have actually invested for an office, for personnel, for workers in India. And that gives us a very, very interesting advantage over other freight forwarders, which is the reason why we actually closed this client from. It's a very big Indian client manufacturing that's moving their operations to Mexico to actually sell in the US and in Mexico. And the reason why they chose us is because of this. In the end, they are able to actually go to our office in Delhi and knock the door and say like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? And that's something that they cannot do with any other freight forwarder that also has operations in the US and Mexico and Latin America. So I would say that the cultural impact that people are going to, like Mexicans in India, which we also help, we are also helping Mexicans to invest in India because we are also very interested in that business. There's a lot of opportunities for sure. That the biggest cultural impact is going to be for sure this hierarchy that we were talking about. Mexicans, we are very used to be very friendly to people. Doesn't matter if it's the person that is cleaning the floors or the person that, like the CEO. We're the same type of good willing and open to relationship with all of the levels, and that's something that I think that is not something normal in India, So that's something that could create like a cultural impact for Mexicans in India. Because then I think that what happens is that you can create too much of a informal environment, and that's something that could hamper your operations because people will stop taking you seriously, which I think is not something that makes sense to me because I'm Mexican. And then the other way around is the same, Indians in Mexico, they go very hierarchy, and they get very offended when they don't talk to the same counterpart, like I am the CEO, I want to talk to your CEO. Why, Oh, because we're the same level and you don't understand because you're just a key account manager. I don't think it works like that here. So that's something that also Indians have to learn when coming to Mexico. Like hierarchy here doesn't work the same as in India, and I think negotiation wise is also very interesting. So I think that usually negotiation in India doesn't happen so much or so often because that decision is taken from the top and there's no opening discussion, and that's it. It's a bad decision, doesn't matter, I took it and it's mine. And of course, I mean, there's organizations that can go to bankruptcy because of this, and in Mexico, no. I mean, in Mexico, there's a lot of opening to negotiation, to opinions, and that's also something that Indians in Mexico could find offensive, not only Indians, but Asians in general, it's a very Asian culture, like this hierarchy and, taking decisions like this. It's very, very Asian. It's not only Indian, it's Chinese also, Japanese, Korean as well. So I think those are two of the main cultural impacts for sure, because in many other things we're very similar, like family-wise, religion-wise, we're very similar. But on these, we're very different. And I think that those are the reasons why you have to definitely, if you're trying to move your operations from Mexico to India, contact us. We know how this works, and we can help you, and vice versa. You want to move your operation from India to Mexico, we know everyone. We know how to make your operation smoother, your transition smoother, so that you can start making money day one, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, like is language also a part of that you just mentioned? Because does language play a lot of role as a hurdle when it comes to both the countries exchanging businesses?
I mean, clearly we're speaking in English, right? So for
Yeah.
us, thankfully, lengua franca is English, and
Yeah.
I think it's more common to find Indians that speak English than Mexicans that speak English. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also something that, you know, as time passes, English is a little bit more frequent in Mexico as well. But yeah, I mean, if we're trying to speak in Hindi and in Spanish or in Marathi or whatever, it's going to be complicated. And that's Spanish to those languages. But then if you add also our own native languages, it's even more complicated, you know. So so yeah, I mean, we have been both conquered in the past by European, you know, powers. So now you speak English, now we speak Spanish, you know. We have to deal with it, and that's how it is, you know. We accept it, which, I mean, it's part of our culture now, which is okay. But yeah, I mean, I would say that thankfully, thanks to English, language is not like a humongous barrier. No.
So
coming out, like, for example, as you told about the hierarchy and the the work environments in both the countries and both the cultures. So Racing Cargo has an office in Delhi.
Yes.
So what kind of hierarchy does it follow? Does it follows the Indian pattern, or it has the like Mexican pattern?
That's an interesting.
I believe.
Question.
Yeah, I believe it should represent the Mexican culture and the way it should work. So I'm curious to know about it.
Yeah, actually, it does. You're right. I mean, we are very Mexican on the organization or hierarchy wise, and that's something that our employees really like. You know, I mean, that's the reason why they applied to that job opening, because they wanted to experience a different type of work culture. Of course, we have to adapt also a little bit to the Indian work culture. You know, we have to understand a little bit also to how it works, but we can have a very courteous and very close relationship to our employees, because they now understand that that's how it is in Mexico, and they value it and they cherish it. So yeah, I mean, we were very, very firm on not being 100% Indian, because we wanted to also take some type of Mexican DNA into India as well, and to, you know, be a little bit different. And that's also for us an advantage, you know, a competitive advantage against other freight forwarders in India as well, because this Mexican DNA is something that I think is very special, and I think it's something that people value a lot.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, you know, because merging both the culture is something that is really nice, rather than taking one thing and letting it overpower over the other, because that then it might hurt sentiments. But when we are talking about merging, then it won't, and it will work well for both of the culture people. So yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense. And yeah, you know, this has been such an incredible discussion, and we have gained so much insights about what goes on a global level scale, when seeing it from that vantage point. And before we move on to the very fun Spanish rapid fire round with Saurav, I would, like to start and ask you one last question. It's an invaluable advice that we would, we always ask our experts to give our viewers and us also. So to be truly honest, we really need that advice. So we keep asking them for that, even if the viewers don't need it, but we need it. So for that, so like, what is the most important lesson, that you would say the Indian and Mexican business worlds need to learn from each other in the next 5 years?
I would say that we need to make peace with our past. I would say that's like one of the main topics. We need to make peace with the past, which is something that we were talking about earlier, right? We need to understand that we are what we are right now, you know, and we need to stop looking into the past at the wrongdoings of the past, and we just need to start looking into the future. We need to start agreeing between each other, like Indians between Indians and Mexicans between Mexicans. Like, okay, what are we good at? What is our competitive advantage against other countries? What makes us special? Regardless if it comes from a wrongdoing, or if it comes from something that is not nice to listen to. We just need to focus on the forward, in the future, and see, like, okay, let's erase, not erase, because we're different. Let's accept the differences that we have between each other, and let's focus on the biggest goal, which is for me, it's as simple as the following: the governments and the society, we need to focus on making sure that no one has hunger, no one goes through hunger. How can we be thinking about cars and space and stuff if there's people dying, literally dying, because they don't have food every day? So I think that one of many other objectives that we need to actually focus as societies. How do we do that? How we get there? How can we get there without just giving them food? Well, we get there by improving our economies, and making sure that these are the most fair economies that they can be, considering that capitalism is not fair, like in general, but trying for us to have it like that, trying to achieve that fairness as much as possible. I think that's what we need to learn and to try to achieve in the next 5 years. We need to focus a lot in agreeing between each other, and understanding that the reason why countries, there are like very, very strong countries out there, is because they removed all of their differences, they accepted them, and they were like, okay, we're doing this job for our country, for our future kids, for the kids of my kids, and how can I make sure that my work, even though it's a small part, can help to improve their lives. It's as simple as that, regardless if I am not rich today. That's important. I think that's something that I have learned from Indians a lot. I think that Indian culture accepts a little bit more the role that persons have on the society than Mexicans. People are like, okay, my role is this, and I'm going to do this role forever because that's my role. That's my part on society. And Mexicans, we don't do that. I think we are too close to the US, thinking like, no, I have complete control over my outcome, and complete control over my life, and complete control over who am I. And I don't think it's like that. I think that we have roles in our society that if we all do our roles good, with 100% focus and effort, we can achieve very interesting things.
Yeah. That is actually a very well thought out and incredible advice that you just gave. I mean, both the cultures can definitely learn these two very positive and optimistic points from each other. And if we actually do this, then we have a lot of development and a lot of good things coming in the future for us, because this is something that is very optimistic and positive, and we can focus on this rather than focusing on the negatives, and then lead to a better result. Yeah, exactly. And better relations, better culture development in our own countries and societies, as well as with each other in business point of views and geopolitics point of views. So yeah, this is something that we should really take on and move positively with that. And yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Efrén. This has been an incredible, insightful conversation with you. And now I would hand over the mic to Saurabh for the awesome rapid fire round.
Thank you, Kriti. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Akriti, and thank you so much, Efrén, for such a wonderful, insightful conversation. And I feel so motivated, and last part of this conversation literally opened my eyes. and the way I see the society. You know,
That's good.
having our own roles is something which should be focused on. Like we have a specific duty. It's not exactly that someone is assigning, but we should feel it inside that we have something to give to the society.
Yeah.
Completely agreeing with you. Thank you so much for this eye-opening session and eye-opening part. Okay. Ok, bueno, pues no vamos a malgastar tu tiempo. Adelante vamos con esta ronda de Rapid Fire. Pues no deberías pensar mucho, solamente la primera cosa que viene a tu mente. Bueno, ¿tacos en Monterrey o comida callejera de India?
Tacos en Monterrey.
Por supuesto, en la casa, siempre. Sí, también. ¿Tacos por la calle o en tu casa?
En la calle.
Calle. Bueno, ciclismo en la montaña o natación.
Ciclismo.
A mí me encanta natación, pero
no
lo sé. Bueno, describe la relación de la India y México en una sola palabra. Pues no estamos hablando sobre la relación política, pero cultural.
Yo diría energético. Energético.
Okay. Bueno, ¿cuál industria es más estresante? Bueno, ¿de papel, acero o cemento?
Acero. Totalmente.
¿Por qué?
Porque más energía, más cosas explotando, más electricidad, más peligro.
Ok, sí, de acuerdo de ti, 100%. Bueno, la mejor exportación de México al mundo.
Oh, tomate,
sí. Pues nuestros platos necesitan tomates.
Sí, y los italianos,
también
todos.
También Chile.
Sí.
Bueno, el hábito indio que más te ha sorprendido.
Masala chai.
¿Masala chai?
Sí.
Sí, es una cosa muy diferente. Es chai, pero no es un chai típico.
Ajá, es masala chai. O adrak chai.
Adrak chai, sí. Bueno, dar clases a los adolescentes o gestionar ingenieros.
Dar clases a adolescentes 1000 veces.
Pero no es fácil, sí. Creo que
no es fácil.
Gestionar a los ingenieros es muy difícil.
Sí.
Bueno, el mayor mito sobre la cadena de suministro global.
Que puedes expeditar carga que esté en un barco.
Ok. ¿Tu tradición mexicana favorita para celebrar?
Día de Muertos.
A mí me encanta. Siempre en mi corazón.
Sí.
Bueno, ¿qué es más fácil, aprender golf o instalar sistemas contra incendios?
Instalar sistemas contra incendios.
Ok.
El golf es muy difícil.
Sí. Bueno, es una pesadilla para mí. Una frase en español que todos los indios en negocios deberían saber.
Una buena pregunta. Jueves. El jueves.
¿Jueves? ¿Qué significa?
Es una combinación de jueves con deber. Y
Okay.
es como un día antes del viernes como para relajarse y hay promociones y el jueves es importante. A veces hasta la gente prefiere el jueves sobre el viernes.
Okay. ¿Lo celebran en tu oficina también, aquí en India?
No oficialmente, no oficialmente.
Okay. Bueno, si no estuvieras en logística, ¿qué harías hoy?
Seguiría en automatización de almacenes.
Ok, bueno.
Ujú.
Finalmente, ¿armónica o robótica?
Robótica.
Sí, es tu pasión, ¿no?
Sí.
Muchísimas gracias por las preguntas, por las respuestas. Y a mí me encanta hablar contigo más, pero no tenemos mucho tiempo. Aquí, bueno, a Kriti ahora. Y muchísimas gracias, Efrén, otra vez.
Muchas gracias, Saurabh.
Yeah. Muchas gracias, Saurabh, and muchas gracias, Efrén. Thank you so much. That was amazing. And yeah, you were very quick with that. So yeah, thank you so much for sticking to the rules, because I believe a lot of us are, don't stick to the rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for that. And it was a very amazing rapid fire round. And yeah, thank you so much for giving us your time and your insight today, from the historical trade to the global vantage points, and to the talking about automation and AI to geopolitics. This has been such an insightful and well-rounded conversation, I would say, and have helped us learn a lot about India and Mexico and the culture and the different things that we know and we don't know, and we could think about and talk to. Muchas gracias for joining, and yeah, for being with us today. And muchas gracias to everyone watching. Please stay tuned and wait for the next episode to come in. And yeah, nos vemos pronto. Buenas noches. Ciao.
बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत धन्यवाद. And
धन्यवाद.
if you have any ideas or whatever, you can, this is my account, my Instagram account. You can send me a message also for the robotics thing or whatever else. And also, if you want to actually explore business opportunities with Racing Cargo in India, you can send us a message to an email to contact.india@racingcargo.com. You can search us in our several, social media as well. But thank you so much. And thank you for the very, very nice 6 months that I stayed in India. Very, very hospitable persons. And I wish to come back soon again.
Hope to see you here soon again. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, Efrén.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
nice one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao.